Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Freedom Radio Hour. I'm your host, DJ Adam Cruz, and I have my fantastic co-host here,
Eddie Nicholas. Welcome to Capital Radio 91.6 FM, the heartbeat of Sudan. Boom, 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 boom. What up, Adam Cruz?
What up, Mr. Nicholas? I'm so excited to be here. We have a jam-packed show. Before we begin, I just had to let everybody know that the Freedom Radio Hour is here, not only giving you fantastic music, but we want to give you music, business news, and trends from around the globe.
That's right.
We have a bit of a jam-packed show, like I mentioned, 3 big items that I want to go over. It just so happened that, remember last week, we were talking about our music publishing workshop. And during that workshop, we were discussing performance rights organization.
And royalties.
Yeah, we were talking about royalties. And you made the joke, but you were serious about, the nightclubs and such around here, aren't paying the ASCAP and BMIs and such like they should. And my retort was, the enforcement policy really isn't there like in other cities, like in Europe, for example, in the Netherlands, they have a much more stricter enforcement policy, But it just so happened that Billboard's latest issue talked about this very issue, and I had to bring it up because, here we are talking about it. So the article is called
The Bible.
I know, right? You think Billboard is still like the Bible?
Well, according to some folks, yes.
But listen, I need to call you out because not but 2 or 3 episodes ago, you were talking about how the only thing that was important to you were whether your record got to be like the #1 dance chart on Billboard.
Yes.
So,
I'm not going to lie. I put it on Billboard. But with so many music magazines out, people choose. But again, the question is this still the Bible? Yes.
Yes, I totally agree with that. But you know what? So anyway, they have this article called Dollars from the Dance Floor. So they say a solution to the long contested issue of nightclub performance royalties may come in the form of a small black box. The leading audio equipment manufacturer, Pioneer, we know Pioneer, the CDJs and such. Pioneer has developed a product called KUVO. And what it does is it plugs into your mixer and it tracks each song played through cloud-based technology. And what they're hoping is that the nightclubs around here will install this box, and whenever the DJs play, it'll transmit that data to the performance rights organization, which begins to solve this issue of that suspended income that you and I are hearing our track at the club, and we know we're not getting paid from that. What do you think of that? Do you think this is like a problem waiting to happen, or you think this is like finally the solution that you envision for all them songs they're playing at the nightclub?
Well, I don't know if it's going to solve anything because, again, if it's not made where people have to do it.
Right.
This sounds like this is the choice.
Well, listen, Pioneer is down with giving the boxes for free to the nightclubs, and the service to transmit the data is also free at the moment. They're saying as long as it doesn't...
Oh, you used the 2 perfect words. 3, at the moment.
Yes, at the moment. Because, they're saying it'll stay that way as long as it remains sustainable as a model.
So that means sustainable, that somebody has to get some money from somewhere.
Right, to keep it going.
And so they're in where I see may have a problem, because now not only are you talking about compensating the right of the publisher, now you're also talking about bringing in a third party to compensate how that box gets paid for and how that information gets transmitted.
And that's right.
Who pays for that?
Exactly right. And also, I don't know if it's exactly foolproof in terms of security. How many examples, like we were talking about the Beatport,
they were hacked.
They were hacked, and how they manipulated those track positioning so that it appeared that you had a #1 hit in their charts, when in fact it was really just a hack. So I wonder if this leaves them open to things like that, because wouldn't you manipulate certain things so like an Eddie Nicholas got paid more because presumably you were heard more than the next person. You know what I'm saying? So I think this might open up another can of worms. But you know what? I do have to commend Pioneer for being behind this, because finally we have somebody who's been developing products in our community that we know we use as DJs all the time, and it's a trusted brand that's behind behind a product like this. So I definitely give a shout out to Pioneer for at least being behind a product to begin to solve this issue of that suspended income that you and I are not
Is that an American company?
Pioneer, I don't know if they're American or not, but they certainly are going to be working with these American venues and such.
Okay.
So we see. That's it. We'll have to look that up further. I think they might have been and then got sold. We'll see. I'll research it, and then next time I'll give you an update on whether Pioneer is American or it's owned abroad. But I also wanted to move on to one of our bigger items for tonight. There was another big.
And what is this bigger item?
Well, Billboard, our Bible, like we were talking about, published this article where Guy Oseary, he's the manager behind Madonna, U2, we've been talking about U2, Alicia Keys and such. And what he did, he used that old Maverick label that Madonna started back in 1992, and he started a management firm around that. And we're going to talk about what that means for the music industry and whether it's a good thing or a bad thing when we return right here at Freedom Radio Hour.
Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
Welcome back to Capital Radio 91.6 FM. I'm your host, Eddie Nicholas, and I'm here with my best buddy, Mr. Adam Cruz. What's up, Adam?
Yes, we had this great article that came out on Billboard magazine, and I wanted to talk about it and its importance in the music industry. So this guy, Guy Oseary, like I mentioned, he manages Madonna, U2, Alicia Keys, amongst others. What he did was he asked his other management buddies over to his palatial mansion in Beverly Hills to talk about how they can leverage their power as managers to broker a deal with Live Nation. Live Nation is the biggest touring outfit that's out right now. So what Guy Oseary did is he enlisted the help of Larry Rudolph. For a long time he managed Britney Spears. He also enlisted the help of Lafite Management, Carson VZ, Blueprint Group, Reindeer, and basically a bunch of managers. They all manage kind of Maroon 5, basically all the heaviest hitters you can consider in the game right now. And what he did was he brokered a deal with Live Nation to offer artists live performances and more in a totally different way. And what he's touting is that there's a lot of innovation around this, and we'll be very surprised to see how they can use artists and their music in lots of different ways to help benefit music. Well, I thought it was a great thing. I think that and on the surface, it seems like, okay, here's a guy that's really trying to leverage the power to do better for the music. But then when you dig deeper, it seems real fishy. I started to think about like auditing firms. There was like a big 5 firm, and then they shrunk down to the top 3, and they consolidated that power, and that didn't necessarily mean a good thing. And even the record labels back in the day were much more labels than there are now. Now the biggest labels are only but few. And so I'm wondering if that has done a good thing for the record industry or not, and I'm not sure that it does. When you think about the idea that the biggest, heaviest hitters that manage the biggest acts in the world are convened together to broker a deal like that, does it seem fishy to you, or does it seem like a positive step forward towards the music industry? Because we need a lot of help.
Yeah, but as again, you're saying these guys are fellas and women that represent the biggest entertainers in the world. So they're already cooping in money. The word consolidation rings. Consolidation, conglomerate. These few people control extraordinary entertainers that they already get top dollar for.
Right.
Now you have them all under basically one roof.
Right. So I think that might be a little bit problematic. And I'll tell you what, I had a great insight from Jason King. He's the associate professor of the Clive Davis Institute at NYU. And what Jason King, he referenced this article, and I kind of agreed with him when I read it. He basically said, with all due props to the savvy minds involved.
I love it, savvy minds.
This is an abuse of the term revolutionize. What will revolutionize the music industry are interventionary projects to support and revitalize music's decimated creative middle and working classes. These are just schemes to make the already rich even richer. Let's call it what it is.
So when he's talking about the blue collar, he's talking about basically people like us.
That the creatives in our
Creatives,
Yep.
But we don't have access to those massive management.
Right, access to all that.
All
right.
of that.
So he ended by saying perhaps the word billboard meant instead of revolutionize is consolidate. Consolidate. So I thought that was a really interesting point. Thank you, Jason King, for that insight.
Yes, thank you, Jason. Thank you.
That was wonderful. You know, and those are the kinds of insights that we're looking for. Definitely, we want you to check out freedomradiohour.com for all this latest and greatest, and definitely post under everything that we're posting, because we really want to hear from you, and we want to hear your opinion about this in particular. Do you think that when these managers get together and they leverage their power, do you think it's for the good of the music industry
or for the good of themselves?
Right. Are the rich getting richer and us creatives getting poorer? You know, it's so funny because I've been wanting to do like a soap opera sound. This will be a perfect time to go bang. Well, listen, when we get back, we're going to tie up what we're doing. I want to bring up one important news item that's really disheartening, but it's important for us to understand. But also, we want to let you know that the Freedom Radio Hour is here to give you the latest in music, business news, and trends from around the world. We'll be back in a minute. Where are we?
Radio 91.6 FM, the heartbeat of Sudan.
Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
Welcome back to Capital Radio 91.6 FM. I'm your host, Eddie Nicholas, and I'm here with Adam Cruz. So, Adam, what's this? What's the latest? What are you talking about? How are we going to tie this up and bring it all to head?
Well, I wanted to make sure I brought up one more item that we were discussing. So Forbes magazine has published an article with the headline, "Not one artist's album has gone platinum in 2014."
I can believe it.
Let me say that again. Not one artist's album has gone platinum in 2014. So
are we? And we're even talking about the big name artists,
right? So we're talking everybody in 2014.
So the big name artists are making their money touring,
right? So here's what happened. So the article is mentioning that for the entire year, we're now in October, November time. By the end of the year, they still won't have an artist that will have reached that status by then. And so that is a big problem. They said the only thing that broke the platinum barrier, it was 3.2 million copies moved of a soundtrack, and that doesn't count in this context. The soundtrack was what? Frozen. You know, that's the biggest thing around.
Was that a Disney movie?
I'm not sure if it was Disney, but I'll tell you what, it was the
kids liked it, but I know it had something to do with children.
Yes, and the kids loved it, and that was the big thing. So we wanted to make sure that you knew about that and more. Here at the Freedom Radio Hour, we always want to give you the latest. Thank you so much for listening. Next time when we get around, we're going to talk more of this music business news and keep you up to date right here.
That's right, on Capital Radio 91.6 FM in the heartbeat of Sudan.